back to Local Decision 2020. I'm Rusty Ray, and we are joined now by candidate for Anoka County Board of Commissioners out of District 6. That is Cindy Hansen. Cindy, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me, Rusty.
Gosh, we were just here.
Yeah.
About 8 months ago or something like that, because the way the District 6 seat has worked is it was a special election to fill, and the remainder of the term ends in November. And so now here you are again, running again. I asked you all those months ago, would you run again? And you said yes.
Definitely yes.
What has been the difference since then and since you officially filed to run again for the second time in months for this seat? What has been the difference?
Well, actually, this is our fourth election within a year because of the two primaries. And boy, I don't know what's worse, the cold of the winter or the COVID of the summer. It has been very different, but I campaigned nonstop. We really didn't stop.
What are you hearing from people? Are you hearing anything different than you maybe did a year ago or whatever the case may be? What are you hearing from people in District 6 about what the county is doing and how they are represented?
How they're represented? Well, what I have been hearing is now with the pandemic, what I said when I first started running was we need reliable internet. And now with everybody using what internet is in the district, and there's areas in the district where people are trying to work from home and they don't have reliable internet. The children need to be educated through the internet now, and it's so sporadic. It is really, really hard. We need to have good, reliable internet in District 6.
What do you think the county and the county board can do to help with that?
What they can do to help, well, I'm not on the board yet, but I realize that this is what I've heard, that there was some of the CARES money that was available. And I happen to know that Columbus did make a request for a part of that CARES package, and it was like $4.8 million that they received, and Columbus was asking for $100,000 of that to improve internet, and they were denied.
They could work with people like Comcast or CenturyLink or something like that, and I know that the county's Regional Economic Development Office is working with, because it may not just be places like Columbus or Linwood or places like that. It could be a pocket in Lino Lakes or a certain neighborhood just because of where the pipe runs.
Right.
And so it's a matter of the internet service providers and kind of getting everybody on board to ask for more
and working together.
Okay. COVID is certainly on everybody's mind. It certainly shapes the way you campaign. Are folks happy about, not happy, that's the wrong word, are folks, what are they sharing with you about the response? Yes, the county has been able to bring CARES Act money to bear to pay for all kinds of things, to change the way it does business, change libraries, change license centers, allow the interface with folks even virtually. Are people talking to you about the response to COVID and the way that the county has been able to help?
No, I'm really not hearing much about that. I have noticed a change from months ago when I was door knocking, and people were real hesitant at first, even though I came with a mask, stayed way back. Now I think the isolation has really been affecting people, and that's what I'm hearing from them too. Okay. I was just at a senior facility where you could tell the isolation has really been weighing on them. Their activities have been canceled. Even their puzzle room was closed. And now with the weather getting colder and colder, their only time when they were able to really interact with people was out on the benches, because you could keep your social distance, and it was nice to be able to be outside. And I'm afraid of what they're going to do now that the weather's turning.
I see. A lot of people
and
share
that's what I was hearing about, was the isolation.
Okay. Because it was a bit of a question or an issue in the last go-around, and it's continually to be brought up by your opponent. Is anyone asking you about where you live? and where you actually own property and the status of that. Now, you do own 2 properties, correct?
Yes, yes.
One of them in your former, where you were mayor in Spring Lake Park. And in fact, part of Spring Lake Park is not in Anoka County, it's in Ramsey County. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
And your home is in Ramsey County.
Right.
Your opponent says, well, no, she's claimed she's lived in Anoka County for decades, 40 years. Is anyone else asking about that, or is it just something that's kind of tossed up in the mix of politics?
Well, I did have that question asked once after an article came out by one of my opponent's supporters. And I will tell you this. The law clearly states that you need to be a resident of the district 30 days prior to the election. We purchased our home in Lino Lakes over 7 years ago. A little back history, I was born and raised in Spring Lake Park in the section of Anoka County. I'm in my 60s. I've been there over 40 years in Anoka County, okay? My husband actually purchased a home in Spring Lake Park in a little sliver of Ramsey County. When he purchased the property, it was listed as Anoka County, and the property even closed in Anoka County. That's how little was known about this little section, happened to be in Ramsey. In fact, I just found out there's a little sliver of Blaine that's in Ramsey County.
I did not know that. Okay.
It is more common than you think. Now, I've read that it was illegal for me to be mayor in Anoka County because I lived in Ramsey County. That is not true. That is not true. I was the mayor of Spring Lake Park. I had beautiful projects that were in the works. I spoke with family, with residents, with staff. We didn't want those projects to go under the rug, so to speak. I wanted to fulfill my obligation to the voters. Now, I did not know how slow government would move. I should have, but I didn't. My family made a huge sacrifice by not moving into our dream home right away. We kept the Spring Lake Park home so that I could spend 51% of my time in Spring Lake Park so I could legally remain the mayor. It was on the up and up. There was nothing hidden. There was nothing illegal or unethical about it. I did it so that I could fulfill what the voters wanted. Then when all the I's got dotted, the T's got crossed, which was in June of 2019, we made the permanent move to the Lino Lakes home. Now, we do still own the property in Spring Lake Park in Ramsey County, and that's real personal of what my husband and I and daughter and her inheritance.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
but it really disturbs me that my opponent and his supporters villainize me for keeping my obligation.
Okay. Okay. This week, in the mailboxes of people in District 6, I live in District 6, so I would imagine it arrived today while I was here at work, but a mailer that you put out, your campaign put out, I'm going to use the word aggressive. It seemed aggressive, and it pointed out specific issues in most of the major communities that you say that Commissioner Reinert has made claims about, or his work there, and then you make a counterclaim to that saying this is not in fact what's happened. He addressed some of that when he was here in the televised portion of his interview, which will air in conjunction with yours on North Metro TV. And he was kind of backpedaling and saying, boy, this is really not, he had some strong words for the tone of it. It seemed aggressive. It seemed like you were saying these are the things that I am concerned about and these are the things that the voters should be concerned about. Was that the tactic here?
Well, it was in response to his campaign literature. If anybody read that, which I'm sure they did, he claimed that I raised taxes 400%.
In Spring Lake Park?
Yes.
Okay.
I would not have been reelected if that one was the truth. And then the part where it says what he has done in each city, I really took offense to that because he's only been on the board for a few months. These projects were in the works for years, and people worked on them from the previous board members and county employees.
You felt like he was taking credit for that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and so that's what you were, in a sense, what you were pointing out. Because I think if
Yes.
some voters see this, they're going to say, wow, these are some really strong points that both campaigns are making. Here again, yours arriving the most recent. So you feel like that certain projects along the way, let's say the senior housing in Linwood, he told us that he has tried to get meetings and that it's just a matter of getting everybody in the same place to talk about it, that he knows the interested parties, the city here, the county there, the folks at the county staff who work on these types of programs. It's just a matter of getting a date on the calendar, is what he told us.
But he's taking credit for it already.
Okay. So that's the difference in your eyes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And you just say that the tone of these two campaigns now, or these four elections,
Four,
if you want
four.
to, yeah,
Right.
have led to this point.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Surprising to you or not surprising to you that the tone is this way?
Well, I was shocked when I read his very first campaign literature when he had nothing good to say about any of the candidates that were running against him.
Okay.
And that's, I guess, where it started. I ran, as mayor, I always ran every campaign on my own merit. I never had anything in my literature about anybody else. But that wasn't how he ran his campaign. And I was told by people that I need to address these issues that he's slapping in my face.
Okay. Should you win this seat to represent District 6, and let's remove COVID and just say everything gets back to normal in whatever form that may be, and it will happen at some point, hopefully, right? What would you like to see happen on the county level? What would you like to bring to the county board? What are things that you would like to focus on in representing District 6?
We need to reopen COVID closed businesses. We need to get more business in Anoka County, which means we need great roads, we need great transportation, and we need great connectivity or internet. I have been known to bring over $55 million worth of redevelopment to Anoka County, and I believe I'm the person that listens to people, that works with people, state, county, city level, elected officials and staff. And I listen to them and I work with people.
So not just businesses that were thriving, but because of government regulations and because of COVID had to stop operating. Even though there is some CARES relief money that's come down from the federal government that could pay some of the bills. It's not going to replace revenue that many of these businesses made, but it would at least pay some of the bills or something like that. But you're saying continue to develop what available land or redevelop in some cases. We talked before when you were here about the tech corridor that the county has really trumpeted and tried to use. Maybe that got kind of slowed down because of COVID. But there's still that opportunity, and it's in District 6 to add to the tax base and things like that.
Right, correct.
What about, there's no transportation or there's not a Highway 65 everybody wants to talk about. I know you're familiar with that with Spring Lake Park. But are there any other larger issues or larger topics that you know from previous campaign or this particular campaign that people, we have to fix this or you have to do this besides the internet and besides reopening businesses?
Yes.
Is there anything in particular?
This is what I've been hearing, and I agree with it. We need better access to the freeway from the County J, Centerville Road, that whole area.
Right.
Yes.
And there has been some improvements there recently. They put some stoplights up. I know this intersection well, trust me. And I like to go to St. Paul from time to time when it's open. And so there are some stoplights there. And so, but there is further discussion about having, and you got a couple of counties there, right? Washington County is going to have to be involved, the state, and then that's a federal highway. So people are still aggravated with that. Yeah, turning out of there, especially if you want to get a burger 5 o'clock in the afternoon, it's pretty difficult.
Yes.
Okay, all right, that's another big project. Okay, you're not the first person I've asked about that, trust me, not just because I live over there. Cindy, that's the time that we have. I really appreciate you coming by.
Well, thank you very much for this great opportunity.